Hi, my name is Cynthia Kramer, and this video is going to show you in depth how to do in-text citations for an APA style paper. So, why cite? So it's really important when you're writing a paper to give the right credit to where you got your information. So even if you didn't do a direct quote, you're still going to want to attribute where you got the idea from. And when you do a citation, you want to include enough information so that others can find the original source that you used. So sometimes I get a question, well, how much do I need, how often do I need to put in an in-text citation? So you're going to have to cite each idea that you use. So that means you could have multiple citations of the same source in one paragraph. And each of the in-text citations needs to have an author followed by the date. So here's a general format. You've got the first in-text citation, you have the authors followed by the year. If there's 3 to 5, you write them out. And then in subsequent ones, you can put author, the first author et al. But if there's 6 or more authors, you just have to put the first author et al. Right away. So also when you're doing in-text citation, if you wanted to put the author name as part of the sentence, then you only have to put the date information in parentheses. So this example would be, according to Cronbaugh and Meal, 1955. But again, if you're going to use that parenthetical citation, you'll use the 2 author names and the ampersand. Now, another thing to think about is abbreviations. So you may be citing something that comes from an association or from the Centers for Disease Prevention and Control, so CDC. So how that would look is you could either have you could either put it in the sentence, so the American Psychological Association, and then in parentheses put in APA, the abbreviation, comma, and the year. If you're not stating it in the sentence, then you'll spell out the entire association and then put the abbreviation in brackets, comma, and then the year. Another thing to think about is if you do use a direct quote, not only do you need the author and date information, but you're also going to include the page information. So here's an example. We've got the quote and then the page information if you have it. For some websites, there may not be page information. And you may see little references on the side here. I have a sample APA paper from Slippery Rock University where I got some of these examples. So now I'm going to show you a paragraph that I wrote using 3 sources about obesity. So I'm going to bring it up. I'll bring up my sources and my paragraph. So I'm going to read you my paragraph and kind of show you in the sources. So, obesity continues to be a problem in the United States, but does not affect all segments of the population equally. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC 2018, yes, I could put a comma there, 39.8% of the general U.S. population is obese, with the most affected groups being Hispanics and non-Hispanic blacks. So that sentence is the thought I got from the CDC, so that's why I put that there. And you can see that if I go in here, it says the prevalence of obesity was 39.8%, and then here it says Hispanics and non-Hispanic blacks are the highest prevalence of obesity. So those were the 2 facts that I pulled from here and put into my paper. And then I wrote, the numbers can be staggering, especially when compared to the worldwide obesity rate of 13%. And I got that information from the World Health Organization. So here's the World Health Organization obesity and overweight fact sheet. Okay, and it tells me that 13% were obese. So I wanted to compare that to the US. So I put in World Health Organization, put in brackets. Okay. Other factors to consider with the increasing rate of obesity are direct and indirect costs. So now I have a third idea, and I got that from this paper, the direct and indirect costs of both overweight and obesity, a systematic review. Okay? So direct costs includes doctor and hospital visits, while indirect costs include absenteeism, short-term disability, and premature death. Okay? And these costs increase with the severity of the obesity. Those are some of the findings they had in that paper. And this was one of them where there were more than 6 authors. So it's the first author et al. 2014. And then I'm going to go back and I'm going to pull a costs measure from the CDC fact sheet. Okay, so the CDC fact sheet says the annual medical cost was 147 billion. So I can go back in my paper and I said in 2008 the direct medical cost of obesity was estimated at $174 million. So that kind of shows you how I'm going to cite within a paragraph. So you can see I have 4 separate ideas and I cited them in 4 different ways. Now when you're writing, I didn't do a much analysis here, but you are going to want to, between the parts that you pull from your sources, you're going to want to add some analysis as well. I hope you found this helpful. Here's the references that I used, the APA style blog and the sample paper. If you have more questions on this, please contact the library.